Hello everyone. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how much do you really need to retire out here in the Philippines? 800, 1500, 2000, more? YouTube is full of guesses, but I've lived here now going on 9 years. And today I'll give you some real numbers based on real life experience. And we're going to kind of break it down a little bit into what kind of lifestyle that you could be living here, cost of living, hidden fees, and mistakes to avoid. So stick around. Your videos make me believe. So we're going to start with the 3 most common expat lifestyles here in the Philippines. And number 1, I think that most people shoot for and is most realistic when people come out here is the budget lifestyle. In fact, that is what I lived on when I first came here. And the budget lifestyle for me usually ends up, especially from people I've talked to and what I've personally lived on myself, usually comes down to about 800 to 1,200 US dollars. Now, we're talking pretty simple stuff here. We're talking rent that is going to be very simple type living. We're not talking about luxury condos. We're talking about very inexpensive condos that are probably just studio units, older condos, not in the best part of town perhaps, or because usually you don't find condos in smaller cities. They're going to be in the bigger cities. They're either going to be in the older part of town, they're going to be older, maybe 20-year-old condos, things like that. And then we're talking anywhere from 150 US dollars to 250 US dollars. Now, so with that, utilities and phone, people are usually spending about $80. Now we're talking very limited use of aircon, very limited use of the utilities, and maybe even just a limited Wi-Fi plan, maybe the cheapest one available, and maybe just the cheapest cell phone plan. And food, we're talking local food and groceries, about $200 a month. Now, again, we're talking about mainly a Filipino diet. That means incorporating rice and going to the local markets and kind of following a Filipino diet. Now, this does leave room for splurging a little bit, going out to grab a hamburger or something like that. But for the most part, we're talking a very simple eating lifestyle. Motorbike and gas, maybe $50 a month. And this could also be, if you don't have a motorbike, even just occasional grabs, walking around, catching public transportation like jeepneys and buses like here in Bacolod. We got the 15 peso buses with air condition that kind of shoot around all over the city, which is super convenient for a lot of people, especially taller guys who can't really fit into the jeepneys and they don't want to sweat. Those aircon buses are a lifesaver. Entertainment and extras. We're not talking a lot of room here, guys. We're talking about $100. That does not include like taking a trip to Thailand, like I'm doing in July, taking a trip back to the States, things like that. We're talking just local things, heading out to the mall, maybe grabbing a coffee, heading out to a local waterfall, which doesn't cost a lot, going to a local beach where there's maybe no cost in it. So we're talking pretty simple stuff here, guys. Maybe a Netflix account. Now, this is doable if you want a really simple lifestyle and maybe a provincial type lifestyle, like out in the province. We're not even talking like a condo, just a simple apartment out in the hills of Bohol or Negros or Cebu. We're not talking within the city typically, or we're talking a little bit of an impoverished area. Not totally, but it's not going to be with the expats around the shopping malls or in the expat bubbles. You're not going to live in that type of a neighborhood for this type of lifestyle. Now, the second type of lifestyle that I consider, and I would place myself into this lifestyle currently, and that is what I call the comfortable lifestyle. Anywhere from 1,200 US dollars to about 2,000 US dollars is what I call a comfortable lifestyle. Not extravagant or anything, but just comfortable. So rent, we're talking maybe a nice 1-bedroom in the city, $300 to $500. Dining out and groceries, $300. Still, you're not dining out all the time. You're not dining out at expensive restaurants. You're not going out and buying steaks to cook out at home. We're still talking a pretty simple food lifestyle. We're talking a little bit more of a mix of Western food and Filipino type meals as well. And at this level, maybe you can afford a little bit of private health insurance, which could run you anywhere from $100 to $150. Travel and leisure, about $200. Now, also what we're missing also is, you got to remember, visa costs for extending, and it depends whether you're married or on a retirement visa or what. But if you're just simply on the tourist visa for all of these, you really need about $40 US per month for your visa extensions and ACR card, all of that. That's just kind of budgeted out throughout the years what you're going to pay approximately. Now, again, this is where most expats land, that especially almost 9 years here, the majority of expats that I talk to have a little bit of this lifestyle, kind of in this range. You'll have convenience, you'll have comfort, and flexibility to do some things that first budget lifestyle is not going to afford you. But this one will afford you a little bit nicer things, nicer accommodations, things like that. And then number 3, we are talking luxury lifestyle here in the Philippines. And that's going to be anywhere from $2,000 up. Now, maybe hovering right around the low 2000s, maybe not. But when we start pushing 3,000, things like that, you can really live a pretty luxurious life here in the Philippines, to be honest. We're talking rent in high-end places like BGC, Makati, or even possibly beachfront or higher-end places in Cebu, Bacolod, Iloilo. We're talking $600 and plus for rent. Maybe a car or an SUV ownership, $300 to $500 monthly on a car payment. Hopefully most people aren't doing car payments here in the Philippines. It's quite the ripoff. Travel, fine dining, imported goods, that stuff's going to cost you. It's not cheap here. If you want to go to S&R and Landers and maybe these specialty shops, start ordering all this imported stuff that you miss back home, it's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you about 30% more typically. You'll live like royalty on this budget in the Philippines. I mean, really, you're going to live in the nicer condo. You're going to have 24 security, amenities like what you see behind me. I got the pool. I'm in the game room here. Again, I'm not at a luxurious lifestyle, but we do have pretty nice stuff here, I would say. So I want to talk a little bit, though, about hidden costs. Now, what most people forget are the hidden costs here in the Philippines. Visa renewals and ACR card, around $400 to $500 per year, depending on whether you use a visa agent, go in yourself, things like that. Express lane fees, things like that, if you do exit clearances or not. Health emergencies, most people, they just don't think about it. Maybe they think, oh, I'm young, I'm healthy, or I don't have any health problems. Get into a motorbike accident, get dengue fever, get severe food poisoning. You know, these are the most common things that happen when people come out here. They get dengue fever, a motorcycle accident, or food poisoning, where they got to get into the hospital and get an IV and maybe spend a couple of days to get themselves right again. So I highly recommend, at least for a trip, picking up some health insurance. There's a couple of links down below, and if you're going to live here, then you can get regular life insurance, which is also listed down below. Helping a partner's family. These things happen, right? Because what are you going to do if she gets sick, or maybe one of her close family members? Are you just going to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't help, I can't help? Most people are probably going to step in and maybe help. And so, you know, you got to figure in for these things. That's why in another video, I'll talk about the benefits of it being better just to live solo. You know, date around, maybe have a girlfriend who doesn't really come over so much, but it mimight be better off in that way. But we'll talk about that in a different video. Yeah, helping a partner's family, very common here in the Philippines. Very, very common. You just prepare mentally and financially. It's going to bombard you sometimes, you know, and if it gets to be too much or over a set amount that you've budgeted out, then it's probably time to say goodbye. Furnishing a rental. You know, many units are partially furnished, or they'll advertise as furnished, but there'll be no dressers, there'll be no dishes, there'll be no this, no that. And so you'll still need to go in and still purchase quite a few things at the beginning. It's very rare that I've seen apartments or condos where you move in and they literally have everything that you want. Usually not the case, so you do have the budget out for that. Replacement costs for electronics, appliances, etc. You know, for example, you want an air fryer, maybe you want a slow cooker, maybe you want a microwave, things like that. Well, a lot of places won't have those extra things, and you'll want to maybe pick that up, a toaster oven, a toaster, whatever. Your laptop takes a crap out on you. Maybe you want to get a new phone, your phone stops working, just things like that. And then one-time relocation fees. Your first few months are always going to be more expensive. Flights, baggage fees, hotel or Airbnb before finding your permanent rental, 2 months rent, deposit, advance, all of those fees, internet and utility setup fees possibly, motorbike, possibly a purchase or maybe a rental or even a car purchase maybe. So guys, if you're serious about retiring in the Philippines, try a 3-month test run first. That is what I tell everyone. A 3-month test run is going to tell you everything you want to know, whether you can live here or not. You're really going to kind of get past that honeymoon phase. That, you know, the first month, honeymoon, maybe into the second month. But after 3 months, you're usually like, okay, this is doable, or it's starting to irritate me, some certain things. Stay in the city or the area that you're considering. Live like you plan to. Track your expenses, especially that first 3 months. It's important. Maybe you don't need to do it all the time. Maybe you stick within your budget, no problem. But the first 3 months, at least during that test run, track everything and see what you're spending it on. The good news, you don't need to be rich to come out here and retire in the Philippines, but you do need a plan. So guys, leave a comment below. What's your monthly budget goal for retirement? You know, mine was when I came out here, I initially came out here, I set it out for about $1,500. Now, well, when I was married, you know, supporting a wife and her daughter, it went up to about over 2,000, about 2,500. Now, just being solo again, I'm sitting at around 2,000 to live a very comfortable life, I would say. And if you guys need help planning your trip here or your move, I offer one-on-one consultations. Subscribe for more real-life expat advice. Down in the description, you can sign up for a consultation. There's a link down there and also the pinned comment, or head to my website, GIOINTHEPHILIPPINES.com, for a ton of information. My travel essential list, my hotel list, my PDF list for moving out to the Philippines, and you can sign up for the consultation on my website as well. So guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see everyone on the next video. Ciao.